Coming up next, it's Teen Titans, followed by Totally Spies on Cartoon Network.
Akari.
Hey! What the heck?
Akari.
Oh, the title call. This video is...
Warner Brothers is for commentary purposes. Please understand and thank you.
Don't forget to subscribe. When there's trouble, you know who to call. Teen Titans. From the tower, they can see it all. Teen Titans. When there's evil on the attack, you can rest knowing they got your back. 'Cause when the world needs heroes on patrol, Teen Titans go! With their superpowers they unite. Teen Titans never met a villain that's the light. Teen Titans, they got the bad guys on the run. They never stop till the job gets done. 'Cause when the world is losing all control, Teen Titans go! 1, 2, 3, 4, go! Teen Titans!
I'll reintroduce myself. I am Xiao Mei. I am the narrator of the story you're hearing.
Welcome back to our review series of the Team Smash Halloween specials. In this video, we'll be reviewing Teen Titans Episode 18, Fear Itself. This review is for Chelsea Mina Venus 22 Bells, Sandra the Cartoonist and Shenanigans Man, Bailey Sandbacken, Sasha Doom Kitty Cat Raymond, and Jason the Cartoon Guy. Now let's...
Get this party started!
Ah, spoiler alert.
The episode begins with an attack going down at the video store. The villain responsible is an obese fanboy geek calling himself Control Freak, armed with a customized TV remote of his own invention capable of animating anything it's aimed at into a deadly living monster with the push of a button. Among these monsters include, but are not limited to, a Jumbotron armed with electrified cables for tentacles, a flat cardboard samurai, and even living VHS tapes with elastic tentacles. The Teen Titans arrive and manage to hold their ground against Control Freak's monsters just fine, except for Cyborg, who spends the entire second half of the battle vomiting evil living candy in a trash can outside. When the monsters have the Titans surrounded, the situation appears grim until Robin throws his batarangs at the fire sprinklers, triggering a rainfall that vanquishes them all by shorting them out or crumbling them to mush. With his remote neutralized as well, Robin secures Control Freak and Beast Boy digs out of the mess and finds a famously terrifying horror movie, Wicked Scary. He secures the presents it to the team back at the tower, and Robin secures Control Freak's remote in the evidence room and gets back up to the living room. Beast Boy explains the notorious reputation in the movie. Not only is it petrifyingly terrifying, but by legend, it's supposed to be cursed. The Titans take Beast Boy's word for it and watch it with their eyes glued to the TV. It turns out that Beast Boy's description of the movie's reputation turned out to be 100% accurate, as the Titans are completely frozen in fear, in sheer terror, at the extremely frightening film set before them. So much that in fact that even a hard-boiled-minded person such as Raven finds herself unnerved, but she refuses to admit it to the others. Later that night, the flash from a thunderstorm outside wakes up Raven, who oddly enough finds herself creeped out by her own bedroom's decor. Things get even weirder as when she and the others hear a scream coming from the living room. Robin notes that it sounded like the same iconic scream from the movie. But what's eerie about it is that Starfire points out that nobody left the TV on, and the movie is sitting in its box on the coffee table. Suddenly out of nowhere, all the lights go out. raising the bar another notch on the creep factor. Robin remembers the thunderstorm and speculates that it tripped a circuit breaker. At this moment, a creepy tentacle gropes his shoulder and frightens everyone except him, who dismisses it as a good prank from Beast Boy. However, Beast Boy, still in his human form, points to what the tentacle actually belongs to. Appearing out of nowhere, the gruesome monster from the movie unveils itself, preparing itself to devour them all. The Titans try to hold their ground, but with the beast's strength is paramount. Things go bad to worse when Raven's powers do not work. Things appear grim all of a sudden. The creature vanishes just as mysteriously as it arrived. The Titans try to comprehend what just happened. Beast Boy immediately concludes that the movie's legend of a curse is as true as its fearsome reputation. Watching the movie opened a portal to an alternate dimension where the monster emerged from. And now that it's on the loose from the tower, it will devour them all, starting with Beast Boy, the good-looking comic relief guy. However, Robin comes up with a more logical conclusion. Control Freak must have escaped from jail and came to the tower to take his remote back and take revenge on the team. Robin suggests that they all split up and search the tower and try to get to the bottom of the mystery. But Beast Boy follows his common knowledge of any and all concepts regarding the horror genre and dismisses it as a bad idea, claiming it that the monster will hunt them down one at a time. They follow a husky cry for help coming from Beast Boy's room. When they open the closet to uncover it, they are buried under a mountain of Beast Boy's laundry, along with a monkey toy which was calling for help, only out of function. Along the course of this grim investigation, Beast Boy keeps giving Raven that she is afraid, which she hotly denies. Just then the monster reappears and pursues the Titans down the corridor. They jump through a door only to find themselves at the mercy of a bottomless pit. Thankfully, they save themselves with the help of Starfire's fight and Robin's grapnel and make it back to the floor without the monster in sight. Just as Beast Boy tries jibbing at Raven's sense of fear again, he is ensnared and dragged into a dark doorway by shadowy tentacles and vanishes into the dark, confirming that the funny guy goes first. The Titans try to save Beast Boy, but only pry open the door to the evidence room with no sign of him. Robin notices that Control Freak's remote is exactly where he left it and begins to suspect that Control Freak has nothing to do with what is happening, and that what they were dealing with may be a supernatural threat. But suddenly, after briefly thinking for a moment and gluing the pieces of everything that has happened up to this point, he comes to a realization of what this whole thing is truly based off: fear. At the moment, Robin comes to a conclusion involving the movie, the monster, and Raven's powers. But before he can say who or what is behind all of it, he is ensnared by the same shadowy tentacles that took Beast Boy. He is dragged into the wall and vanishes without a trace before Starfire, Raven, and Cyborg can save him. However, Cyborg frustratingly punches the wall and smashes a giant hole through it, revealing nothing but the hallway on the other side. Cyborg, Starfire, and Raven are left in despair from not knowing what Robin was about to say. Cyborg and the girls search the living room again, but there's still no trace of Robin or Beast Boy. Cyborg claims that they have looked everywhere for them, to which Raven replies almost everywhere. Cyborg and Starfire freeze with fear on account of knowing exactly where they have still yet to search: the basement. As the remaining Titans begin searching, Starfire starts blasting at the floor when she realizes that she sees something scurrying. Raven thinks it's a few rats, but when Starfire points to on the girders above are not rats. A massive horde of rat-like monsters appear and swarm almost the whole complex, and the remaining Titans race back to the stairs to avoid being attacked and eaten. Starfire almost makes it, but is ambushed by the rat monsters, which knock her down and leave her vulnerable. When Cyborg and Raven arrive at the stairs, they see Starfire engulfed in a huge pile of rat creatures which drag her down onto the floor. By the time Cyborg comes for her, she is completely submerged and the pile disappears with her along it. With only Cyborg and Raven remaining, Cyborg concludes that there is nothing they can do for her now, and that they are just as vulnerable as everyone else. The only remaining course of action is to find a way out of the tower and come back for help. They make it back to the top of the stairs, and Raven goes ahead of him, asserting her for a final time that she is not afraid. Not a moment later, Cyborg finds himself frozen with fear, and Raven asks if he could light the way, but turns around to see an empty, pitch-black corridor without a trace of Cyborg. All there is in the dark, empty corridor in front of her was a huge black pterodactyl monster flying straight for her. Raven races to the elevator and manages to narrowly escape the monster's deadly jaws, but her relief is cut short when the elevator fills with black ooze, which spills out into the living room. Now totally alone, she is beset by all the horrifying creatures she has encountered, made out of pure darkness, including a wolf guard-like creature emerging from the shadow. Finally cornered and out of options, she admits that she's truly afraid. But she also declares that regardless, it doesn't mean she can fight back. Raven yells Azarath, Metreon, Zinthos, and releases an energy wave that absorbs all the creatures. An energy wave to the colossal pterodactyl beast that emerges right outside the tower and lets out a tortured roar just before dissipating. And Raven passes out on the living room floor, with black electricity flickering around her. She wakes up to see that her friends are all okay. Robin explains that there was never any danger in the first place, to which the others question, because the monsters they were seeing were never real. He explains how the horrific events happened they happened throughout the night. Raven knew she was afraid all along, but when she denied the fact she was as a result, her entire sense of fear gained sentience and physical forms through her powers. Her magic transformed into creatures that represented the manifestation of her own deepest fears. This explains why her powers weren't working when she wanted to use them when the tentacle monster first appeared. As in, showing the monsters that she was deeply afraid of. But when Raven finally accepted her fear, she regained control of it and her magic returned to where it belonged. The Titans realize and understand that Raven had accidentally created monsters out of denying her fear, and she sheepishly apologizes. As the sun rises, the Titans decide to catch some slave over the night's events. Beast Boy then tells Raven that her own fear is far more terrifying than the horror movie, and asks if she would want to do it again for Halloween. In a wide shot of the Titans Tower from outside as the sun rises, Raven ends the episode by proudly saying, "I'm afraid not."
Clowns are from space.
Why is everybody clowns?
Little pervert!
Get back to work! Did you know that?
Many of the other monsters share a striking resemblance to the monsters in Nevermore, which is almost a dead giveaway that Raven is somehow responsible for them. The counter girl working at the video store resembles Sarah Sims, Cyborg's love interest from the Teen Titans Go comics. It is a little impressive how Robin figured out the full extent of Raven's powers, even though Raven rarely talks about the true nature of her powers and how they work. Cyborg inevitably has an incredibly sensitive stomach when it comes to candy and sweets, considering a couple of handfuls of Control Freak's candy henchmen were enough to send them to a trash can outside of the store for the entire second half of the battle. And after the first encounter with the monster, the Titans fall on top of each other. The camera cuts away as Starfire lets out a shriek and complains about claws on her Gretnax, which causes Beast Boy to stand up and apologize. Possibly he grabbed her boobs by accident. The Cuckoo Lander was right. Beast Boy explains with an exaggerated demonstration that Wicked Scary is cursed, and watching it open a portal to another dimension, allowing the monster to enter. Though it's not accurate, he's not entirely wrong. The Wicked Scary monster exists due to Raven watching the movie and not admitting that she was afraid, which essentially could be considered a curse. If she never watched the movie, the monster would have never became real. or if she admitted the fact that the movie was scared in her in the first place, the monsters still would have never become real. And the episode title is derived from the words in President Franklin Roosevelt's famous speech. There is nothing to fear but fear itself. It refers to Raven having to deal with the entities casted by her own fears, and it is also a quote heard in Batman Begins from the Chris Nolan's The Dark Knight trilogy.
Now you know!
Overall, it was actually a fantastic episode, and, to be honest, the samurai cardboard standing monster appears to hold its weapon only on its left hand. However, as it slices Robin in half, the weapon switches to its right hand. When Beast Boy turns into a T-Rex and scares the bookshelf, it drops all of its books. However, in the next shot, the books have returned to its normal shelves. This might have been a comedic effect to portray the cartoonish, terrified expression. After Robin threw and sliced his batarangs at the fire sprinkler heads as they spread water around the video rental store, Raven was quickly not wearing her hood. And as Robin folds his arms in displeasure from Beast Boy's emergency call, the right portion of his left vest was colored green instead. And when Beast Boy is scared about splitting up and telling the other Titans what the monster does, he pulls Raven's hood off, but she never put it on. The Puppetkin's controller is seen in the evidence locker, but it was previously destroyed and switched. When Starfire is scared after Raven suggests checking the basement, she is depicted with a belly button. In the scene where Cyborg and Raven are the last two remaining, both of his eyes are human eyes, although it may be an animation error. It is possibly intentional, but his usually robotic eyes pupil is colored red, so this may be for comedic effect. And also, when Raven is washed out of the elevator by the black liquid, she is covered with it. In the next scene, she was clean once again. When Raven regains control over her powers, her eyes turn black instead of white. Before Control reanimates the candy, Cyborg is seen fighting the same bookshelf Beast Boy was fighting instead of the Dropbox. When Raven banishes the monsters from her mind, the gigantic black pterodactyl manifests instead of a giant raven. After Cyborg blasts Control Freak's evil TV, Robin's hair was not spiky as usual. In the Justice League Unlimited Season 1 episode Wake the Dead, a DVD cover for the movie Wicked Scary can be seen in the college kids' room. Now then, this episode's rating is a 7 out of 10. And next time, we'll give you a hint on the next show. The creator of this one had the difficult task of coming up with a replacement for MTV's Beavis and Butthead. So he created the brothers Grunt, and it flopped. Then he decided to try something completely different as a dare. Be sure to guess what show it is! Thank you for watching. What do you think? If you appreciate the content, please be sure to super smash that like button and be sure to subscribe to our channel. And please be sure to follow us on Instagram or my DeviantArt. And don't forget to leave a comment because we really accept kind thoughts. But we here do not allow any trolls or hurtful words or any other terrible meanings necessary allowed. Otherwise, Red Hoeing from Comedy Central's The Ren and Stimpy Show will hunt you down until the ends of Earth. Keep that in mind. Be sure to subscribe to our channels and click the notification bell. You'll never go into miss a video the second it goes live on YouTube and Google. With that being said, thanks for watching and I'll see you all next time. Have a nice day!